sponsored by Ocean Wave Cleaning and Restoration.
You are now watching Fashion Monger Academy. Fashion, style, decor, lifestyle curated show.
Alright, so we are going to make spicy margarita mocktail. Okay, so the ingredients for that will be orange juice, lime juice, jalapeno simple syrup that we made prior to starting and filming. So we cooked it on the stove. I'll show you the process, you'll see. But it was half and half. So half sugar and half water. And then you could do half also jalapeno, but I put the whole jalapeno in it. I like things extra spicy. Okay, so, and this drink was thought of to complement the chili. So I wanted 2 spicy ingredients for the chili. Okay, so let's begin. So I did everything as you see to cut the time. So we're gonna garnish our glass with a lime wheel, and we're also gonna put in the jalapenos. Okay, so we're gonna use jalapenos. Also, you could put it inside, but I'll put one here on the side too. Okay, alrighty, so let's start off with, also we need ice. We will do it anyway without it. I'm going to spill this. Okay, so that was the simple syrup. We need 2 ounces of simple syrup, 2 ounces of orange juice, and some lime. Okay, so we'll do 2 ounces of lime. Okay. And they wanted me to freshly squeeze this. Okay, that won't happen. So here we go. Here's the lime. Great. So all the ingredients are there. Let's give it a stir. We usually would have ice in here, but since I forgot, stir it out. Or you can use one of these and give it a nice shake. But I stay away from the shaker. Okay. And then pour it in. So if we had ice, it would bring it to the top. And then let's garnish. And we'll put 3 on the top. Spicy mocktail. Enjoy.
Dearest FMA students, get ready to be entertained, inspired, and enlightened with FMA lessons.
Texas chili, a beloved dish with deep roots in Texan culture, is a perfect blend of spices, meat, and vegetables that come together to create a rich and hearty meal. This traditional dish is a favorite among many for its robust flavors and comforting warmth, making it an ideal choice for gatherings, family dinners, or even a cozy night in. In this episode, we are thrilled to welcome Chef Pina Boatwright, who joins us to demonstrate how to prepare and cook Texas chili. Join us as Chef Pina shares her expertise and passion for cooking, making the episode an exciting and educational experience for all.
Hey everyone, so here we are today. We're going to make a Texas chili. A Texas chili is really a unique dish in that it's amazing because it's low carb and it does not have any tomatoes and no beans. So most chilies will have beans and tomatoes. This dish is a high protein dish, high antioxidant dish because the chilies that we'll be using are very anti-inflammatory, so therefore high antioxidant and low carb.
In this episode, we find ourselves in the charming kitchen of health coach Pina Boatwright. With her warm smile and infectious enthusiasm, Pina welcomes us into her culinary domain, promising a delightful culinary journey as she prepares a hearty and flavorful Texas chili. Pina Boatwright is not just a health coach. She is a culinary instructor and registered dietitian who passionately believes in the power of wholesome, nutritious food. With years of experience in the health and wellness industry, Pina has helped countless individuals achieve their health goals through a balanced diet and a positive lifestyle. Her expertise lies in creating delicious, nutrient-rich meals that are both satisfying and beneficial for the body. Meet Pina Boatwright. Chef Pina Boatwright, RD, is a renowned culinary instructor and registered dietitian who delights in connecting with individuals of all ages, guiding them back to the joys of their kitchens. With a belief that cooking is both empowering and enjoyable, Pina's approach to culinary arts is infused with passion and expertise. Pina emphasizes that her Texas chili is not only delicious, but also packed with healthy nutrients. The lean ground beef provides protein and essential vitamins. The tomatoes and bell peppers are rich in antioxidants, and the spices have anti-inflammatory properties. This wholesome dish is a testament to Pina's belief that healthy eating can be both enjoyable and nourishing. Step-by-step preparation. With the ingredients ready, Pina walks us through the step-by-step process of creating her Texas chili. Her method is straightforward, ensuring that even novice cooks can follow along and create a delicious dish. Pina begins by introducing the ingredients required for her Texas chili. She emphasizes the importance of choosing fresh, high-quality ingredients to ensure the best flavors and nutritional value. Step 1. Host Minervia and co-host Odelia watch along as Chef Pina preps the ingredients for the Texas chili. With her expert guidance, viewers will learn the secrets behind crafting this quintessential Texan dish, from selecting the perfect cuts of meat to blending spices for that authentic flavor. As Chef Pina shares tips and tricks, Minervia and Odelia engage in lively conversation, making the cooking process both enjoyable and informative. Having been born and raised in both Italy and the America, Pina has mastered the art of international cooking. Her culinary philosophy emphasizes the importance of wholesome ingredients and the joy of cooking. She focuses on creating dishes that are not only healthy, but also pleasing to the palate. Step 2.
So here we go. So what we're going to do is a couple of steps in preparing this chili. So what I have for you today are green bell peppers and red bell peppers. We have serrano peppers, and we have jalapenos, all the fresh chilies. And then we have 3 dried chilies, ancho chilies, guajillo chilies, and chili d'arbol, which are very spicy chili. So we're going to rehydrate those and then make that into a chili paste. Here we go. All right, so first steps in making this chili is that you want to sweat and make sure that you cook down your onions with your green peppers and your bell peppers. So we have red and green peppers here. So we're going to take our little Dutch oven and get that going. So there's just a little bit of oil in the pan. So they kind of coat the pan. You don't want a whole lot of oil. We're going to get our Dutch oven nice and heated. Preferably you want to cook and make sure that the Dutch oven is nice and hot before adding the onions and the green peppers. While that's cooking, I'll get my onion or my garlic ready. So this is where, if you are a garlic lover, feel free to have more cloves. I'm going to go with 2 big cloves of garlic. You can use some elephant garlic for this or whatever. I typically like to use at least 2 full cloves of garlic, but you can definitely use more if you, again, love garlic. If you're trying to avoid garlic, maybe even a pinch of garlic or garlic powder would work. But you'll see that once we start to use the spices, we're going to be using some garlic powder as well. So here we go. Just chopping up our garlic. Make sure you mince your garlic. A uniform cut on the garlic and the onions help with cooking things evenly. So that's what the goal is. So once our oil starts to heat up and we can sort of start to hear it, you want to hear for the sizzle of the oil. We'll add our garlic. There we go. All right, so our garlic is in. You can start to hear that. Beautiful. We'll add our onions. We have some chopped onions. I like a Vidalia onion for this dish because it's a very sweet onion, so I would go with that onion. So there we go, and there we go. And then there's a red bell pepper and a green bell pepper. So part of this is also being able to go over what the heat index of these different peppers. So with the Texas chili, because we use no beans and no tomato, it's purely a pepper-based dish. So what you're looking for is making sure that you have all the peppers that you love. So there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of variability with this. I'm having our green bell peppers and our red bell peppers. And then we go into like our hotter peppers. So you can see we have like some jalapenos. I have some fresh serrano peppers from our red serrano peppers, or green serrano, and then our red Fresno peppers. So our red Fresno peppers are pretty spicy. If you like a nice spice or a nice kick to this, then you would add your red peppers to that. There we go. If you like it mild, this is where you can really create the variation on your dish depending on the spice level. I actually love a very spicy dish, so I'll go with a spicier pepper. And on a Scoville scale, you can see that the Scoville scale goes from 0 to 5 million is the Scoville units, the heating units. So a jalapeno pepper compared to a bell pepper is 0, and then the North Carolina Reaper is 5 million. So somewhere in between is kind of like, and that's a big unit of measure. And so depending on how spicy you want, you can definitely increase that spice level depending on your flavor. So that all things go with Texas chili. So we're just going to heat that up. You want to make sure that you sweat that. Make sure you get that like for a good 5 minutes. And you hear that sizzle. You want to see them like really get that water and the condensation. What you're creating here is a moisture barrier. The next step in this dish is that we're going to cook our meat. And when we're putting meat in a hot pot like this, what you want to do is want to make sure that you're avoiding putting the meat in a hot pot like this. If you create some moisture, the meat will brown, and it will definitely be able to have that reaction that you're looking for, that all those flavors, because you already flavored the pot with all this like amazingness between the bell peppers and all the other spicy peppers. So we're just going to let that cook down.
And you know, you seem to cook with so much passion.
Yeah.
And something that makes you fulfill like that. It brings out enjoyment. What inspired you to chef it up? to cook and just in general?
Boy, I mean, my whole life has been about cooking, really. You know, I come from a family of chefs. My mom was a chef. I'm from Italy myself, and so I moved to the States when I was young, and food has been a centerpiece of my entire life. Forevermore, it has been sort of the cornerstone of everything I've done in my life, and everything that I find like between enjoyment and just fulfillment has been around food, but really about sustainability of food. So I've been able to see food source from just being raised on a farm to just being around a table with like 20, 30, 40 people and just being able to enjoy it. So from like a small scale to a large scale. And then in my work that I do day to day, and being able to give that back to patients and students that I work with, and being able to find the love and the joy of food. And every patient that I've ever worked with, I talk about like being able to find their food philosophy and understanding like what they love about food and how they want to be in the world with food. And then moving towards that, right? Sort of like you move towards that, the connection. And once you are connected with your philosophy around food and you know your own personal philosophy of food, you live it. You live your philosophy. But until then, like maybe this person's idea and that person's idea and that person's idea, and you just don't fulfill your own.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's really different. When I connect with the patient, I'm like, where's your heritage? What's your culture? Where do you want to see yourself? Where do you want to travel in the world? And how do you want to be in the world with food? And I align all those goals, those personal goals, with who they want to be in the world with food.
Interesting.
And that is totally different.
Yeah, totally a different perspective on food. I don't think personally, at least, I haven't seen food that way just yet.
Yeah.
But I love always trying different foods from different cultures from like Mexico. I've been to Mexico and I tried food there. Amazing. I went to Guatemala as well.
Oh,
amazing food.
Amazing food.
So overall, just trying new foods, and that's something that also, I guess, when I travel, it's like I connect with the food in this place.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to connect. And like I tell my kids, I have 2 teenagers that I'm raising, and I tell them the world is a big place. There's so many foods that you can try. Don't limit yourself or your palate, right? So with all my patients that I work with, I always say, like, you have the opportunity to be global in your food approach, right? So don't limit yourself. I'm Italian. I'm cooking Mexican. You're half Mexican.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Exactly.
Right?
I've been to Italy, had Italian food, amazing Italian food.
It's all possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to limit yourself. You don't have to be like sort of in your little silos around food. You have the world is literally open to you. If you are open to flavors, flavors will be open to you. And being able to be exploratory in your cooking. It's so fun. Yeah. And then in the meantime, we're going to be working with our dried chilies. So this dish calls for all chilies. So we have dried chilies. We have our ancho chilies. These beautiful ancho chilies, which are dried chilies, we're going to be using 3 dried chilies in this dish. We have anchos, guajillos, and then we have a chili d'arbol. See, these are 3 different chilies that are like really quite amazing to work with, and I love to work with these chilies when I'm making chilies, when I'm making maybe a mole sauce, when I'm making enchiladas. It's all kind of like really wonderful chilies because they're versatile in flavors. Our ancho chilies and Mexican chilies are really amazing, and then the fact that when they're fresh, this is a poblano chili. And then when they're dried, so they're set out to dry, and then they become our ancho chili. And it gives us that really amazing fruity, but smoky flavor, but mild. This is not your spicy chili, but it gives you all that flavor punch. Their guajillo chili, and which we'll be using, I call that rattlesnake chili, right? The rattlesnake, you can hear it like, rattle. So when you hear those peppers in there, when it's dried properly, and it's dried over a very long time, it's like months and months and months to take the drying process, right? So it doesn't dry overnight. You do not want to put these in the dehydrator. These are your guajillo chilies. You can hear it. It's like a rattlesnake. This is where you're going to get your smoky, leathery, licorice, chocolate kind of flavor. This gives you a mild spice. It is not going to give you like a big spice. But if you want that beautiful, incredible, sort of well-balanced flavor, you're going to want to use the guajillo chili. I'm a huge fan of spice, so the chili d'arbol is where I go for my spice. You only need a few. I may be a little exaggerated in my dish tonight. I might use like 3 or 4. But this is your super spicy chili. So when you're looking at chili d'arbol, this is almost like at a 2 million Scoville scale. The Scoville scale starts at 0. Your 0 is your bell pepper, is where we are here, right? Bell peppers are at a 0. The chili d'arbol is probably at a 2 million. Spiciest chili out there that we know is the Carolina Reaper. That's at about 3 million to 5 million on the Scoville scale. And the Trinidad, we have the ghost peppers. Those kind of up there. So really depending on how you like and what you can tolerate for chilies, this is where the Texas chili is really amazing, where you can kind of vary and create your variation based on your flavor profile and what you love. So chili d'arbol, I love, and they're spicy. And we're going to do all kinds of things here with those dried chilies to be able to use them. So while our fresh chilies are cooking, We're gonna set that, keep that to the side. So for our chilies, our dried chilies, what we want is activate them. They're dried for a reason. They've been sitting in the sun and drying for quite a long time. It's quite different than a dehydrator. But in order to release all the volatiles and all their flavor, we need to heat them up. So they need heat to be able to release, and they need water to be able to rehydrate. So what we're gonna do is set our, we have a saute pan. That's all you need. The chilies just need a little bit of heat. When you put the chilies in some heat, it releases all of their flavors. So I would say like at least 2. So I have chili ancho, I have chili guajillo, and then I have my chili darbo. Again, you may use 1 if you're super sensitive to spice. In my case, I may go 3, right? And that's really, really like spicing it up. So I need a little bit of heat. So once I get that heat, and then it will destem this and then de-seed it. So all the spice in the chili, right? So if you look at this guajillo, you have seeds in here, right? Those are amazing. That's the capsaicin. That's where all the spice and that heat level, where the Scoville unit of heat comes in from understanding how we measure heat in a chili pepper. The chili pepper is all in the heat in the body, and mostly in the seeds. So when we de-seed them, we try to take out the heat. What the Scoville unit measures is how much sugar water will we need to be able to dilute that so that they are not spicy. So a guajillo pepper, for instance, like this, that actually before it was dried, this was a mirasol. This is actually a mirasol pepper because it like looks at the sun, and then when dried, it becomes a guajillo. The poblano, before it's dried, is a poblano, and then once it becomes the ancho chili. So these are all really amazing units of heat, and they're all based on really what you need to do to dilute them so that they're not so spicy. So the spiciest thing in this dish that we're preparing are the chili arbol that we talked about. The next freshest one is the chili serrano, of which we have in here. So we have 2, the dried and the fresh. So this entire dish in a Mexican chili basically is just a chili, and we're going to create a paste out of the dried, and then we'll keep the all of our wonderful fresh chilies, and that just gets incorporated as like flavor when we start to cook the meats. So with our chilies, we're going to make this into a paste. But what you're going to see is that the chilies start to kind of come alive in the pan. You'll start to smell it. So as the aromas start to come in, it starts to release the volatiles, basically the properties, because they've just been dried. And so in order to kind of start to release them, you'll see them start to plump up. The goal is not to have them plump up and just leave them like that. We're going to rehydrate them in a bowl of water. So we're going to put some hot water. So I'll be adding some hot water into that bowl in a second. But you can see that they're already starting to plump up. Even our chili darbos that were very, very flat, they start to come alive. And then we'll stick those in a pot and just let them rest for a second so that they just like really plump up. And after that, we'll de-seed them and then create a paste out of that. What we're going to do next is we've had an opportunity to sweat our green bell peppers, red bell peppers, our onions, and our garlic. And we're going to remove those from the pan. Now, from our pan, we're just going to remove them, set them aside. We will definitely be joining those flavors in a second. But what this does is give the pan an opportunity to have all that moisture for our meat. So this is fantastic. And we have all that wonderful flavor bits here. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. There's a couple things we need to do now. So we need to de-seed our chili peppers. You can see that they've like plumped up. Just a little bit of heat has plumped these up. They were super flat. Now they're plumped up. And now what that does is just release the flavors. And that's what we want, is just to be able to release the flavor. We're going to use our food processor to create a chili paste. And that's what's going to give all of this chili all the amazing flavor that we need. We have our, remember, the ancho, the guajillo, the chili darbo. This is spice, this is smoke, this is licorice, it's chocolatey, it's amazing. And all these flavors are going to combine into this amazing paste, and then that goes right into our meat. So it's essentially like marinating our meat.
Pina Boatwright is not just a health coach. She is a culinary instructor and registered dietitian who passionately believes in the power of wholesome, nutritious food. With years of experience in the health and wellness industry, Pina has helped countless individuals achieve their health goals through a balanced diet and a positive lifestyle. Her expertise lies in creating delicious, nutrient-rich meals that are both satisfying and beneficial for the body. Step 3.
Now it's time to season our meat. So what kind of meats do we use for a Texas chili? Typically, I would use an Angus beef. This is an Angus beef, very lean meat, just cubed. So this is our stew meat. We're looking for like a beef stew, right? So we're looking for a beef stew. So because this is like March, and we may be looking into St. Patrick's Day and recipes around March, National Nutrition Month, some things to think about is that you can make this as like kind of a Mexican, Irish beef stew or just a Texas chili stew. There's so many different variations. You can get creative with this. You don't have to limit yourself to just like, this is kind of like what I'm doing. A part of this is that it calls for thickening with a non-alcoholic beer. So it wants a very dark beer. So again, if we're in March and we're in like St. Patrick's Day and we want to use a Guinness, this would be a perfect opportunity to use a Guinness non-alcoholic beer, for an example, or other beverages like that. So here's our meat. So and because I love a lot of texture, I don't just love to have that meat. Besides, this will cook for 2 to 2.5 hours. So this is a quick dish that you want to make. I would favor the beef over the Angus stew meat. So this is chuck meat. You can also buy a chuck round and you can chop it up like this and cube it, or you can buy some ground beef. I like the two together because it just gives you a lot of extra texture in your dish, because this is a very, very hearty dish, a very perfect dish for like winter. But if you're looking for kind of a combination of flavors and textures, I would kind of go with both. If you are in a super rush, I would kind of go just with the ground. So with this dish that I'll be showing you is that I've gone with both the chuck Angus beef, good, and this is a 90%, so 90-10 or 80-10. That just means that you're going to have a leaner beef. So again, we're looking for high protein, lower carb in this dish. This is a perfect dish where you can just knock it out of the park with being lower carb and higher protein here. If you also wanted to do a much lower fat, instead of the ground beef, I would go with the ground turkey. It would be a very, very amazing flavor with this as well. So you kind of vary your ground proteins and stick with your at least a pound of your stew meat. So again, this could be a variation where you have some flexibility on what you choose. So with our meat, a simple seasoning. So we just need some salt, we need some pepper, and salt and pepper your meat. And our pot is nice and hot. And if you see here, we've got lots of moisture in this pan. So you're not having to like heat up this pan. You don't have to oil this pan. And that is the ideal goal with seasoning your meat and being able to brown your meat. So here we go. We throw that in. And then we're going to get your ground meat in there. Again, season, salt and pepper. That's all really it needs. We're going to be adding a lot of different spices to this. You can see here I have my spices, my salt, my pepper, my nice seasoned pan, and it goes. There we go. We're going to let that cook down for a bit. This is a Texas chili, so we're looking at cooking for about 2 to 2.5 hours. 3 hours is preferable depending on how much liquid you add in there and depending on how much protein you add. So again, because we have no beans, we have no tomatoes, we essentially have just a chili paste, we have a ton of vegetables, all the flavor gets really marinated. Your meat is incredibly marinated. So you want the liquid to cook down. And so once the liquid is cooked down, what you end up with, once we add the thickener, and I'll walk through the thickener, is what you end up with is a very hearty, very thick, beautiful, amazing, high protein dish. We're gonna let this cook down. We have our stew meat and our ground beef. Again, back in all those flavors. Just gonna let this brown, get all that nice flavor going, and then we're gonna add our spices. So once you see that browning, the next step is adding our spices.
You mentioned you've pretty much cooked different cuisines from
Yeah.
all over the world. So which out of, if you could choose like your top one, besides Italy, besides Italian
I
food,
mean, Italian I can
Well,
cook with like my eyes closed.
aside from Italian food, what is your go-to?
So I mean, I'm super inspired by, I mean, honestly, all kinds of like intricacy. So I look at like the more intricate dishes. I mean, France, everyone wants to like conquer French dishes, right? So like I have tried and I've mastered some like French dishes. So I feel comfortable there. But where I go like, you know, kind of like off the grid, if you will, or I would love to like southern East Asian dishes. I love like spicy like Malaysian dishes and like Indian dishes, and I've even like explored like African dishes, like Senegalese dishes, like so in that like sort of parameter. Ethiopian, I love Ethiopian food. I've even tried to cook like injera bread. Have not mastered that yet. But the spicier and the more like complex and the more interesting and the story that it tells is where I'm like more sort of drawn to and fascinated by that. And fresh flavors. So anything that's like not processed and, you know, lends to like fresh flavors. And of course I'm a seafood lover, so of course any cuisine that has like seafood and spices. That's why this dish was like so great, because it can be adapted for spice lovers,
Right.
but also you can like tone it down for those that are like, okay, I'm just like, yeah, they're like trying the spice.
Great though, that's great. So would you consider yourself more of an expertise in the cooking area, or do you also do baking?
No, not so much baking, because baking is, I mean, I can bake for sure, but I would say like cooking, and I'm super about global cuisines.
Okay.
So in my job now, I work with students from all over the world, and I am kind of like, I want to be like their representative for cuisines around the world, and I can be their voice for all cuisines. And we have students from like Nepal, from Tibet, from from India, all the countries in Africa, from all the countries in South America, and we want to be able to cater that on a college campus to all cuisines.
Right.
And so that is, it's part of me being able to be exposed to that, be open to that, be loving of that, and I do, and I love it all. In the meantime, while that browns, we're going to work on our chilies. Our chilies are the key, literally key ingredient to this entire dish. That gives us all the flavor we want. So what we need to do is make sure that we're rehydrating our chilies. So we've cooked them down, but we want to make sure that we're adding them to a dish. So for some Texas chili purists, they will de-seed this completely, right? So when you de-seed it, all the capsaicin, all the spice lives in the seed. So again, depending on your audience, depending on your family, depending on who you're cooking for, you may want to just completely de-seed this. If you de-seed it, that means that it will be less likely to be spicy. So, but you see how this like flakes apart here? I'm just gonna add it here. And I may not want to de-seed this. Like the arbo chili, like it's pretty good. Like you want to take off the stems, right? But if you're leaving those, you might just want to just leave that or de-seed them. Again, those are like personal preferences. With my ancho chilies, they've got again, this is like poblano pepper before it was dried. So it has a pretty thick stem. So you just take that off. And it's very, very leathery. If you're finding like that, like in their seeds, you can see here, like their seeds are quite extensive and pretty hardy seed base. Again, optional. You can take those out, them in. If we take them out, no problem. They come out once you heat them up in a little bit of heat. You can almost just like empty them out into your hands, and there you got some seeds. So it's a very easy process to de-seed a dried chili, and de-seeding them just makes them like less spicy. Again, the spiciest pepper in this entire dish was our serrano and our chili darble, which were here, are dried. The rest of them are pretty mild, so you're not going to get a really like super kick in this dish. But the goal here is that you're rehydrating them with some water. So now I've taken out all the seeds that I'm comfortable with. Again, you could have no seeds at all, walk away with absolutely 0 seeds, or leave them in and then strain them out. Totally personal preference here. So here I am. I'm taking those out, and then what I want to do is rehydrate them. So I have some water, some hot water. But you never want to rehydrate them without the heating element first, because the heating will release all those like natural gases, the volatiles, right? And then once you have that, just add some hot water, and now you can see them kind of just coming back to life. Again, remember, these were like fresh peppers. They were in the garden, poblanos. They were like amazing. Again, Mexican chilies are fantastic in that they had a name before that they were dried. So your fresh chilies having, your anchos were poblanos, your guajillos were something else, right? So it's kind of a really nice process here to go through having them rehydrate. What I like to do with this rehydration process is just add a little bit of broth. So I have some beef broth. You can add chicken broth, vegetable broth, just it gives it like some flavors. Again, these have so much flavor on their own, but once you rehydrate them like this and we make them into a paste, now it becomes a beautiful addition to our meat. And that's when we season our meat. So like we have a good barbecue, we season, we want to make a good sauce, it's all in the paste. When we make a Texas chili, it's all in the chili paste. That's exactly what gives it the flavor. The hero of the dish is your dried chilies, is the chilies that you're making. Because the meat is fantastic, but all the flavor really comes from the chilies that you're using. So we want to really make that like a winner. All right, so we're going to let that sit for a bit, and we're going to let our meat brown. So right now we have, you can kind of see this is happening. Let's talk a little bit about the spices. So what's going to happen next, right? We have our Angus beef, our ground beef, and again, we're doing that specifically for texture, for flavor, for high protein options. But we want to season this meat. So for seasoning, what do we have here? I always love a combination of oregano. You can use Mexican oregano, which is a lot sweeter. And so it's about a teaspoon or to 2 teaspoons. So again, we'll provide the recipe for you. But right now I have about 2 teaspoons here of your oregano, some garlic powder. And you want to get all that seasoning right in the meat. Cumin. Cinnamon. Our cinnamon is added last. So cinnamon's just a touch of cinnamon. Again, that like little smoky, amazing flavor. You don't want to overpower it with cinnamon. I prefer my Texas chili to be very, very spicy. So again, depending on your flavor profile and what you're looking for, that cinnamon just gives that nice little hint of flavor. And if you wanted to, you could use the adobo. It's very, very salty, so just go mild with it. We have just like a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon here of the adobo. And that's it. And if you look, and a little bit of black pepper, of course, always. So we have a ton of spices here. I didn't really use a whole lot of salt, but we have a ton of spices that in our meat is going to be very, very seasoned, amazing. You know, they just smell, the room smells amazing. There we go. Gonna like cook that down. And once you get some good color on that meat and you feel like really comfortable, right? I want you to look at that meat and just say, oh, does that look like it's browned? Meaning like, does it have some like bits in there? Can I see it? Like, I don't want you to throw some your vegetables back in here if this doesn't have like a good coloring to it. You want to get a good sense that that meat is like nice and infused with those spices before you add your green bell peppers, your red bell peppers, and your onion back into your meat. Once we've done that and you see that like it's just, you can start to smell it. So I want you to like use your senses here. If you start to smell that and it's like, that smells really good, that's when you start to add your vegetables back in, because now you're layering in the flavors. And a Texas chili is all about that. Chilies in general, you're layering in the flavors. You want to make sure that your base layer, and then you just like keep adding on so that it becomes this amazing sensation in your mouth after. So you have to think about like, what do I need to do to create this so that it's going to be the most magical experience in my mouth? Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time and practice. So part of it is just watching it, smelling it, and then just feeling for it. Like, okay, if you see some like red bits in here, like I'm watching my like, my steak, that's not quite ready for my flavor adding. So you build and build and build. Take your time with this. There's no rush.
So inspired you to become like you mentioned you're a nutritionist.
I am.
So
Yeah, I've been a nutritionist for a very long time, and a chef, a culinary instructor.
Okay.
I think what inspired me is that I grew up in a culture, my Italian heritage. I'm from Italy originally. Was born in Italy, moved to the States when I was young. And for me, being raised in Italy and the United States, and in both countries, food was a central part of my entire life.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah, right? So, and it was about everything. It was about connection. It was about nourishment. It was about, you can't leave your house if you're hungry.
Right.
It was about love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a big part of food is love, and also just feeling really so amazing in my body, right? So as I was experimenting and cooking and learning how to cook, I would notice the difference when I cook like my whole foods and like using spices, and then my global cuisine, the whole world opened up. So for me, it was like, I am not just Italian in my cooking, I'm global in my cooking.
Love that.
You know? Yeah, so I cook everything from all over the world, and I wanted to, my kids, I have 2 teenagers, so a part of my big thing was that my teenagers could feel that they could eat all around the world.
Okay.
So when they were little, I would inspire them to be like choosing a country around the world. I would say like, hey, pick the country, check it on the globe, and then go on Google and see their national dish, and I will cook the national dish of that country.
Wow. Okay.
And I would say, just in case you travel to that country, right? You travel to Poland, or you travel to who knows where, right? And so my son was like, well, what's the national dish of Madagascar? Cook the national dish of Madagascar.
Okay.
So I got trapped with them a couple of times, but I was able to learn with them, and that was beautiful. So now I've cooked all cuisines from all over the world for them.
Wow.
So
Okay.
to inspire them, so that if they could sit at the table in any of those countries they could travel to, I feel like I would do my job.
I love that. That's a good message.
And so be a global eater.
Yeah.
Be globally inspired. The world is not our small little oyster. It's bigger.
Yeah.
Pina moved from Italy when she was young and has since lived in many beautiful places around the world. Growing up as a city girl around Boston, she developed a profound love for the nature elements and became a true seafood lover. Her Italian roots deeply influenced her upbringing, instilling values of health, delicious food, family, and community. From an early age, she was immersed in the importance of nutrition and fitness. Her mother, grandmother, and aunts inspired her passion for cooking. Pina fondly remembers her grandparents' self-sustaining farm in southern Italy, which exposed her to the origins of food sources and the importance of scratch cooking. The farm featured fresh and seasonal vegetables, olive oil and wine production, and free-range proteins. This early exposure laid the groundwork for her future lifestyle centered around health and wellness. Pina's journey is a testament to how childhood experiences and cultural heritage can shape one's passions and career. Her story highlights the significance of understanding where our food comes from and the benefits of maintaining a healthy, balanced diet. Today, Pina continues to honor her heritage by promoting a healthy lifestyle, nutrition, fitness, and the joys of cooking with fresh, wholesome ingredients. Pina's culinary journey commenced at the esteemed Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Her academic pursuits further led her to Northeastern and Simmons College in Boston, where she earned a bachelor's degree in clinical nutrition from Simmons College. To expand her knowledge and expertise, she pursued a master's degree in public health/health economics from Bocconi University in Milan, Italy. If that wasn't enough, Pina's interest in how lifestyle choices impact overall well-being grew steadily. Motivated to deepen her knowledge, she enrolled in a university program focused on health sciences, where she discovered the various dimensions of health: physical, mental, and emotional.
Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna make a chili paste with our dried chilies, the ancho, the guajillo, and the chili darbo. We got lots of flavor in here. And in order to marinate our meat and to create that meat flavor, I'm just gonna add that right to our food processor. Just gonna give it a whirl. Off on here. There it is. We have our chili paste. And really, it's okay to have that extra liquid, so you just want to remove. And so what we're going to do is just add that amazing flavor. So this is where all of that meat just really gets marinated in all those chilies that we talked about. So you can see here that we have all these flavors in here, right? Like, so now we've made the chili paste. We have our 3 dried chilies plus our 4 fresh chilies, and we're gonna add in our vegetables. So you can smell it already smells so amazing. It smells so good. Amazing. It smells amazing, right? All right, so
how would you thicken?
Okay, so to thicken this, so what I'm gonna do is add this back in. So again, if you are gluten-free, one amazing way that you can thicken this is with what I call masa harina. This is a corn flour. And what I love, because you need to always add a little bit of spice to it, right? Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're adding a little bit of smoked paprika, which I absolutely love, and then a non-alcoholic beer, just to add that extra flavor. So you can see here we've added all of our vegetables back into the chili.
Step 4.
Okay, so in order to thicken this, what we're going to do is we have about 3 tablespoons. So your masa harina, which is like just your corn flour, you could use regular flour, but again, if you want to keep this a very healthy dish, so far we've done low carb, high protein, we've done gluten-free. You can also choose a gluten-free beer and a gluten-free non-alcoholic beer to thicken this. Again, that gives a lot of great flavor. And if you do that, what I always want to make sure is adding a little bit of spice. So my sous chef here is going to help me with, we're going to do a little bit, like 3 tablespoons of your thickening. Go for it. And then I'm going to add slowly some, at least three, right?
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you're adding enough smoked. This is a smoky flavor. We don't have a whole lot of smoky peppers, but if you love Texas chili with a lot of smoked flavor, you can add a liquid smoke, or you can choose like liquid smoked peppers. But this is a very simple, easy, quick way that you get that like spice, that smoke, that like intensity, a deep, complex flavors. So we're gonna add a little bit of that. So like 1, maybe 2. Let's just do 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, so here you go. So Odelia, my assistant here, is going to mix up while I add the non-alcoholic beer. Are we ready? Woo! Here we go. You can see that it's frothy, it's beautiful. This is our thickening agent for our
I always see cooking as like a science.
chemistry. It's like chemistry, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So you can see here in our Texas chili, we have a little bit of liquid, not a whole lot, but that will just thicken everything up. And then you want to cook that down for at least 2 hours. So it gives it a chance for the protein and all the liquid to kind of just get all those flavors. Yeah, does that feel good? I'm gonna have you add that to this. Yeah, there we go. Amazing. Look at that. Beautiful. Thank you. All right.
Now, what's your favorite type of dishes? Savory,
I love a
flavor?
yeah, rich in flavor, like dishes that like really inspire me, like yeah, spicy, that kind of just make me feel make my soul feel good. Yeah.
Okay.
So I love protein, I love vegetables, I love a dish that can just like be just like this. This is a perfect dish. Like I think it would, if I had to say a dish that like that probably I identify with,
Okay.
yeah, it's something like this, like that I could like layer up, right? This is a base dish that's already spicy, so it's about like the different peppers that we use,
The different spices as well.
different spices. So I have a whole bunch of different spices. We talked about smoked paprika, cinnamon, garlic powder. We use fresh garlic. So there's a whole lot of flavor and a lot going on here. But it's so nice because then you can layer it up. If I want to do like fresh herbs and some citrus.
Gives it another kick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Yeah.
variation of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you want to really let this cook down. So this is going to be one of those Sunday dishes. Maybe, I don't know, you're watching a football game, past football, or another game, or basketball,
March
whatever, right? March Madness.
Yeah.
And you're in there and you just like need like a couple of hours, but you want your house to smell amazing. This would be a dish that you go to because it does smell phenomenal in here, doesn't it?
Spices.
It's an aroma,
everything.
yeah.
The aroma comes through. Is there like a specific spice that you tend to go to that you see yourself using frequently?
Yeah, I mean, I think for something like this, a smoked paprika, like that's not often used. I mean, oftentimes it's used in a Middle Eastern dish, maybe not so much in a Mexican dish, but I would say something like this just gives like that pop of flavor. And you need very little amount, and it goes a long way. The Mexican oregano versus like the regular oregano, I would go with that. Garlic powder and cumin. I'm a huge fan of cumin. So there's a lot going on in this dish, and there's like probably 3 or 4 or 5 spices. It doesn't take a lot, but you get a lot of flavor. So the last step of this is that you want to make sure that you have a good amount of beef broth. You can do chicken broth. Again, if you're going vegetarian with this, that's fine. You can do vegetable broth. I've chosen a beef broth. And so what you want to do is at least like 2 cups of beef broth. And you're going to add that to the remaining stew. So the whole idea is this is like a slow cooker dish. So once you have this, and you're going to cook this all down. So it may seem like a lot of liquid. The ratio between liquid and beef and will seem a lot. Again, if you're using turkey, you can vary the protein absolutely. But the goal here is in 2 hours of time, this will all reduce down. Once you have that reduction of the liquid, all that flavor will just concentrate. And it's just amazing what happens once you let this cook down. So we'll evaporate, it will cook down, and it's a very, very tasty dish. So what you're looking for in a Mexican chili is that it will be very stewy, thickened, because we've used the corn flour to thicken this, and we have in our case, the beef broth. Again, you can use chicken or vegetable. It'll be wonderful. So 2 to 3 hours. So make sure that it's a slow cook process.
Pina's career is a tapestry of diverse experiences in the culinary and wellness sectors. She honed her skills and shared her knowledge as a culinary instructor/RD at Beth Israel Lahey Hospital. Currently, she holds the esteemed position of Senior Wellness Manager and Campus Dietitian for Compass Group at the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Her role at MIT exemplifies her commitment to promoting health and wellness through nutritious and delicious food.
Very.
Is it spicy?
Ooh, I feel the kick. Yep.
Yeah?
A little bit. But it's very, very rich in flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel all the different warm flavors coming through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's delicious. It's spicy, right? So
Yeah.
good.
It's really
I
good.
love it spicy.
I like
a
the
nice kick,
flavors.
yeah.
Perfect for, the cold weather right now.
Right, it is perfect for cold weather stew.
Yeah, yeah.
Love warms your body. Well, it warms me up like so quickly, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's so nice. Like,
Yeah,
so,
you could tell.
yeah.
You can definitely tell throughout the whole process of making the Texas chili, and you can definitely tell you're passionate about the cooking.
Super passionate about it, and the more global, the better, right? And then when you reach globally, you realize that there's such a common thread between all the countries in the world. I mean, we all have some variation of if you think of a ravioli in Italy, like I'm from Italy, right? But you think of anything that's stuffed, and every country in the world has some variation of that.
Oh, that's true.
Right? And it's so fascinating. It's just a different name, but we're all the same, right? It's just different spices and different variations. But I feel like that thread, that global thread that like binds us together is so beautiful.
Now, would you say, I noticed you were mentioning how our Texas chili today is very low carbs, and it has rich in protein, etc. So, there's always that connotation about people saying, healthy eating is boring or it's bland. Obviously, we know the answer,
so
but my
sad.
question is going to be like,
Totally.
do you see, how do you do the opposite of that?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
so I try to inspire.
do you-
So I say, look, what we worked with, if you looked at our Texas chili, really basic ingredients.
Right.
You have some dried chilies, you have some fresh chilies, you have some spices.
Okay.
So in the grand scheme of things, we're not talking about like breaking the bank with these ingredients.
Right.
It's not expensive ingredients, and it's not anything that's going to make you feel intimidated. Right, we're not working with like heavy techniques or like some really particular techniques. We're working with like basic ingredients. It's a profiling, right? So if we can learn the basics of that, you can elevate your plate and elevate your palate. So when I like healthy eating, do I ever think about healthy eating and think it's boring? Never. But do I have patients that come to me and say like healthy eating is boring? Yes, and I have to help. I have to help the masses with that, right? And I've got thousands and thousands of patients to be like, look, you can eat healthily and not feel like it's boring or bland. Because I would love for everyone to know that eating healthy does not mean bland. Eating healthy does not mean boring. Eating healthy does not mean like, oh, forever. I can like rescind my like life of flavors. Absolutely not. If anything, once you start to eat healthy, your palate adjusts. Once you start to have less sodium in your diet, your palate, just like your taste buds, are open to all those flavors. Because salt really saturates the taste buds. So when you eat less and less salt in your diet, all of a sudden you start to taste things. And things taste like amazing and wonderful, like citruses and like spices, right? Because salt like kind of just suppresses those taste buds. So when we move towards a healthy diet, it does not mean boring. It means like, I say it's like a world of flavors. If you're open to it, yeah, it's
A world of flavors.
a world of flavors.
As we bid farewell to Pina Boatwright's kitchen, We leave with a newfound appreciation for the art of cooking and the joy of sharing this meal with Fashionmonger Academy. Pina's Texas chili is more than just a dish. It is a celebration of flavors, culture, and the importance of wholesome, nutritious food. Whether you are a seasoned cook or a beginner, this recipe is sure to become a staple in your culinary repertoire, bringing warmth and satisfaction to your table. We hope you enjoyed learning from Chef Pina and feel inspired to try out her Texas chili recipe in your own kitchen. Stay tuned for more episodes filled with culinary wisdom, vibrant personalities, and of course, delicious food.
Sponsored by Ocean Wave Cleaning and Restoration.